Well, let's see what the fuck we can screw up today. Give her a second to focus. Whoa. Ah, you fucking bastard. Well, hopefully you can still see me. The stool that my camera sits on is touching my table, so every time I touch it, the camera's gonna shake. It's gonna fuck my shot up. God damn it. Anyway, motherfucker. Fucking slut. Bring her back a little bit. Hey guys, back again. I wasn't planning on building this thing right away, but I made a little bit of progress on the X reel crawler. I did bag 1 in the first page of the instructions, which is the basic chassis layout. Pretty familiar, just like the other thing I had the other day. If I ain't never had one with the side servo mount. I usually don't like extra servos on my rigs, but we're going to try it this time. I don't really enjoy the fact that I'm going to be building a 2-speed because it seems like that's a lot of stuff for me to fuck up. We're going to see how it goes. The first step went okay. The fit and finish is pretty good on the parts. The plastic is hard. It almost is brittle. I don't have a couple pieces in the bag. When you rattle them around and they like tink against each other, it's like, holy fuck. Sounds almost like glass. So I was thinking the stuff was going to be real brittle. But I don't know that for a fact. It might be perfect. Maybe the links won't be made out of rubber like the axial ones. The shock towers won't be too bendy. I'm looking forward to finding out for sure. The screws went in pretty hard, but they all lined up pretty good. There's about 20 screws in the first step. And one of them screws is a little bit longer than the rest of them. It's a 12 millimeter. And I know better than to do it, but I fucked up. I stripped the screw. When you're using a hex driver or whatever you use to put these screws in, when you feel it skip the first time, stop. Back that screw out. Throw it in a fucking garbage can. Don't try a little bit of an angle on your hex driver and try to get that screw in all the way. Because next thing you know, it's stripped out bad. And it's down in that little hole where you can't get to it. And you can't turn it either way. Your piece is still loose. That's a pretty important piece that holds the servo that shifts to 2-speed. You want that fucker tight and to be in there the way it's supposed to be. So I figured I'd take advantage of my stupidity and do a simple how-to video. Now you guys that have been in this hobby a while can probably just turn this off because you already know how to take a strip screw out. But not everybody does. So you got the screw down in there. And I'll throw pictures up as I'm explaining it so you see what the fuck I'm talking about. You got no way to get a hold of it with anything. The best way to get this son of a bitch out that I have found is you take yourself a drill bit and make it a little bit bigger than the screw that you're having the issue with. Kind of want it as close to the same size as the head as you can possibly get. But as long as it's bigger than the threaded part of your screw, you'll be alright. You put it in your drill of choice. I like my Bosch cordless because that's what I had down here. I got DeWalt and a couple other brands, but that's the one that's in the garage, so that's what I used. I like to put a little oil on my drill bit when I start gnawing on that screw. And you got to be careful doing it. Don't crank your drill up as fast as it'll go. And don't stay right on it until you get through. Go easy with it, a little bit at a time. Because number one, it generates too much heat in that screw, and that screw is into plastic in this case. And if you melt that hole around where them threads are supposed to bite, then you got another problem to deal with. You have to put super glue in it and make new threads. It's a fucking headache. You got to be careful, keep stuff cool. I like to put a little oil on it. Cutting oil is best. Not everyone has cutting oil. I don't have cutting oil. I'll use motor oil or anything that says oil on it if I have to. I'll just use whatever I got just to have something on there. I did that. Screwed and screwed and screwed on the motherfucker. Little at a time, being extra careful because if you go through the head of that and your bit goes off to the side, you would be amazed at how fast you can destroy a plastic part with this thing in a drill. I've done it a couple of times. Not only do you feel like an asshole, but chances are that part's going to be hard to find. So you just eat away at it very gently, carefully, and eventually the head will pop off. It'll probably be stuck wrapped around your drill bit. And now your part is still attached, and you just have a threaded stud sticking out of the side of the frame. So you take the other screw out and get the part out of the way. Then you take your trusty vice grips, and you lock on that little nub of that screw that's sticking out, and you just turn it out. And that's all there is to it. You throw that screw in the garbage, you learn your fucking lesson so you don't do it again. Then you go over to your screw collection and you find a stainless steel screw that's close to the same length, and you stick that son of a bitch in there, and it's all fixed. That's all there is to it, I guess. I'm not much of a teacher, but there's probably somebody out there that hasn't been in the hobby that long that wonders what you do when they strip a screw in something. A lot of times you'll run into that problem when you buy a used car, you got somebody else's old headache, they didn't know what the fuck they're doing, they used the wrong thread lock or something. A lot of shit can happen that can cause that problem. It's not always because you were an idiot and kept trying to tighten the screw that was stripping on you, like I did. And that's all there is to that. Aside from that one little mishap with that one screw, I like the kit so far. Now, there's probably somebody watching that's experienced and thinks they're wasting their time listening to this, and their first comment is going to be, well, if you bought the RC 4-wheel drive kit, it'd have good hardware, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Well, that might be the case, or you might strip a screw in that too, but the fact is that RC 4-wheel drive kit, and I'm not throwing anything against them, that's just using it for an example, that kit that's similar with the 2-speed and all that, probably going to run you at $400 or $500, maybe more. Yeah, this was a little bit of a headache, but I enjoy that kind of stuff. I like having a problem and have to use a little common sense to figure it out. So, the fractions of a penny that it cost me to replace them 2 screws in there, it doesn't quite make up the price difference yet. I'll stick with my $165 rig. I think it's going to work out well. I think I would actually recommend it just from what little bit of build I've done so far. It's pretty good quality stuff, easy to work with. I'll keep you posted as I make more progress. I think step 2 is that 2-speed transmission, which I'm not looking forward to, but that's next. I think that's it. I think I said everything I wanted to. Have a good day.